So we just gotta wait for the new feed to pop up. New feed popped up.
All right. Shalom, Lord in Christ. Technical difficulties went down for a quick sec. We back up and running. We talk about the Book of Enoch and the lies and the fabrication. We was talking about the conspiracy of Nephilims, right? And why? Well, let me ask you a question, right? In order to support the lie that angels were having sex with mortal women, here's what I want to understand. How do you kill angels?
Never
How does it
a record that it has been done?
So if angels can take on any form, right? Isn't that the case?
Mm-hmm.
Angels can take on any form. Why did those angels die during the flood? Their kids would have been what? Semi-gods, right?
The Nephilim did not hop on the boat, sir.
Nah, I don't think they did. Their kids would have been semi-gods on top of that, right?
Which is Greek culture.
Which is Greek culture, right? So their kids are semi-gods, right? So they would have taken on the characteristics of their fathers, right? So how's water able to kill these semi-gods? Right? Right? They would have had wings too, right? Angels got wings, right? Give me Ezekiel 1. Let's take a look at these angels real quick.
Ezekiel 1 and what?
Just start at verse 1.
Ezekiel 1, verse 1.
Pay attention. We're gonna talk about angels real quick.
Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar,
Go ahead.
that the heavens were opened,
Go ahead.
and I saw visions of God.
And he saw visions of God. Go ahead.
In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim,
Jehoiakim. Go ahead.
Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar.
Go ahead.
And the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north.
What was that whirlwind?
The whirlwind was chariot.
It was a chariot. What we call IFOs, the world calls unidentified flying objects. That's what the whirlwind is in this scripture. Go ahead.
Khan, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it.
Go ahead.
And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire.
Go ahead.
Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures.
Now keep in mind, it's describing the UFO, right? And the brightness of its coming, right? And it's also describing angels at this point, right? Keep reading. Let's see what the angels look like.
And this was their appearance.
Go ahead.
They had the likeness of a man.
They had the what?
Likeness of a man.
They had the likeness of a man. Go ahead.
And every one had 4 faces.
And every one of them had 4 faces. Keep reading.
And every one had 4 wings.
And every single one had 4 rings. Now, how did they describe? We're just trying to kill the lies. How do Christians and how does Hollywood describe angels?
As some white, blonde hair, blue eyed, chubby baby with wings shooting arrows.
Sometimes it's a baby.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just what you just said. White, blonde hair, blue eyed, right? How many wings do they have?
2.
Hollywood describes angels as having 2 wings. The Bible says they have 4 wings. Go ahead.
Khan out of one Khan. And their feet were straight feet.
Go ahead.
And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot.
A sole of a calf's foot is it's their hoof is parted, right? The sole is, so it's like this. It's like a split, right? That's the sole of a calf's foot. Go ahead.
Khan out of one Khan. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Now let's just get this in context. So it's giving you a description of what the angels look like, right? They had 4 faces. They were in the likeness of a man. They had 4 faces. What were the 4 faces?
Oh, Khan out of one Khan. You want me to drop down?
Yeah.
And the likeness of their faces. Oh, Slakia. Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 10.
Go ahead.
You sure you want me to drop down, sir?
Likeness of their face?
Yeah.
I want you to describe their face.
Oh, Khan out of one Khan.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. As for the likeness.
We're describing what you conspiracy theorists call Nephilims, right?
Khan.
They're angels, right?
Khan.
Right? But go ahead. Or they're the offsprings of angels, right?
Khan.
So the offspring of angels should have these features. Go ahead.
Khan. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man.
Go ahead.
And the face of a lion.
So it has the face of a man, face of a lion. Go ahead.
On the right side.
On the right side. Go ahead.
And they had the face of an ox on the left side.
Go ahead.
And Slakia, they 4 also had the face of an eagle.
Okay.
Thus they were faces, and their wings were stretched upward.
Okay.
2 wings of every one were joined one to another.
Okay, so now I only wanted to give you a description of what angels look like in the Bible. The reason why I'm giving you the description is that in order for you to support the idea of Nephilims, right? Which is considered what? Angelic beings, right? Isn't that what that's considered? Well, if they're considered semi-gods or offsprings of angelic beings, then they would have the makeup, right? The genetic makeup of angelic beings, right? They would have 4 wings, 4 faces, right? How were those angels made? Did they have mothers and fathers? I want y'all to think about that. Did the angels that you're talking about that had sex with women, did they have mothers and fathers? That's what I want to know, right? Here's another question, right? Let's get to Genesis 6.
Where do you want me to start, sir?
Start at verse 1. This is the whole. This is it. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
When angels became, did it say angels or did it say men?
Men.
So why is it saying men? It should have just said when angels became multiplied on the face of the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Multiply the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them.
And daughters were born unto them, right? That's the natural selection. Man and a woman and children are born unto them, right? Go ahead.
The sons of God saw the daughters of men.
So now here's where Christians and the rest of the world gets confused. They said, read that part one more time.
Khan out of one Khan. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men.
Now, who are the sons of God?
The children of Israel.
There's 2 correlations to the sons of God.
Children of Israel.
I want to be fair. I don't want to get right to it.
Yeah.
Just for those naysayers, there's 2 references of sons of God. Who do they apply to? Who do they apply to?
The main one is the children of Israel.
The children of Israel.
And before the children of Israel would be the Hebrews aka the sons of, let's say the sons of Adam, that follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High.
Yeah. But who else applies as sons of God? In the Bible, there's two references of sons of God. It's the first reference is those that came from Adam, Seth, Noah, right? Down to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the children of Israel, right?
Huh.
The second reference is angels. Angels are sons of God too, right?
Huh.
So now we have to figure out context. What is it talking about? Is it talking about angels or is it talking about man, right? Is it talking about the Lord's chosen people? Let's figure this out. Go to...
It's like this Brother Kashal said.
Yeah.
There's more in this verse that actually proves your point.
Okay, the verse I want you to hold on to is Luke 3:38. Hold on to it, but read the next. Keep reading.
That they, sons of men, that they were fair, and they took them. Why?
Bring it back.
Oh, Salakia. Top of verse 2. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them wives of all which they chose.
So now, what is sex? Well, here's a better question. What is marriage? Right? For me to say you're my wife, how do we constitute that? How do we consummate that?
Consummated through sex.
Through sex, right? So now, you would have to prove to me that angels have sex, right? You would have to prove to me, well, here's something even better. You would have to prove to me that angels have wives.
That's the kind.
Prove to me in the scripture where the angels have wives. So you're saying that these are fallen angels, right? That's the whole premise. They're fallen angels, right? And these fallen angels, somehow they disobeyed God, right? Isn't that the premise? So somehow these fallen angels, they disobeyed God, they rebelled against God, and Satan got his team, and God had his team, right? And now Michael and Satan are at each other's neck, right? Well, here's the problem with that. Satan is not who you think Satan is, right? His titleship it has been misconstrued by Catholic dogma. Satan, we would have to prove that Satan is also a son of God, right? We have to prove that too, right? Isn't Satan an angel, right? So in the mind of a conspiracy theorist, in the mind of a Christian nut, Satan is an angel that is against the Most High, that's rebelled against the Most High. But let's find out what Satan. Let's find out about Satan real quick.
Which Luke?
Job 3:1.
Oh, Job 3:1.
Let's find about Satan first, since he's considered an angel, right? And Satan had kids, right? Satan had sex with women, and they had kids. Isn't that what they're saying, right? Isn't that the lie that they're propagating in the world, right? Michael had kids. Who else? Was Michael? Who are the fallen angels?
Raphael.
You'd have to tell. Listen, you'd have to explain to me who the fallen angels are.
Well, that's another time.
You know what I mean? Like, who is it? Did Michael fall? No, Michael didn't fall. It was Satan and his minions. Okay, let's find out. Let's find out who Satan was. Job chapter 2 verse 1.
Job chapter 2 verse 1. And there was a day when the sons of God.
And there was a day when what?
The sons of God.
And there was a day when the sons of God, go ahead,
came to present themselves before the Lord.
So who's presenting themselves before the Lord?
The sons of God.
The sons of God, right? So it's talking about angels, right?
God.
Presenting themselves before the Lord. Go ahead.
And Satan came also among them.
And who?
And Satan came also among them.
You see how they just threw Satan right in there? Right in that pack? Because Satan is a son of God, right? What does it take to be a son of God?
Follow the Most High's law.
Perfect. Look at this in a father-son relationship, right? What constitutes a good father? And what constitutes a bad father?
Salaki, if I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
May I insinuate your question even further?
Go ahead.
What constitutes a son?
And what constitutes a son? Perfect. I'm glad you said that. So now let me give you an example, right? I raised my son to raise him to I raised him to keep my laws, or I raised him to keep the Lord's laws, right? Meaning I raised him so I'm teaching him, and I'm teaching him to not be a homosexual. I'm teaching him to not be a drug dealer. I'm teaching him to keep the laws of the Most High, right?
God.
And as I'm teaching my son, right, I have expectations for my son, right?
God.
Now, there comes a time when you might have to make a hard choice, right? And it takes a father to make this choice, because a mother would have a difficult time making this choice. Your son comes home, right? And you taught your son to marry someone of his kindred, his nation, right? You taught him to marry someone of his kind, right? To marry another sister, black or Hispanic woman, or a Native Indian woman. And he comes home with a white woman. He comes home with a Chinese woman, right? And so he breaks the laws that you've given him, right? Here's another example. You tell your son tell your son that he's not allowed. What would a good father do? And what would a bad father do? I want the two examples.
Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
A bad father would condone such actions.
Right? What would a good father do?
A good father would condemn it.
A good father would condemn it, and a good father would disown his son, right?
God.
Until he put away that wicked act. Then he would what? Receive him again, right? When you think about the story of the prodigal son, he let his son go out and just and drown in the filth of the world, and live his life and enjoy the lust and pleasures of this world until he hit rock bottom, right?
God.
And then what did he do? He came back and he what? He repented, right? And he was accepted back, and he received his inheritance, right? What you got to understand is that the Lord is a good father, right? And the Lord requires something from his sons, right? Here's the difference between what we're talking about here. The sons of God, right, can be angels, or it could be the men who the Lord have chosen, the family who the Lord has chosen, starting with Adam, from Adam all the way down to Jacob and the 12 tribes of Israel. What you have to understand is the difference between those two groups, between the angels and the men who the Lord has chosen, is that the angels are not what? What kind of beings are they?
Terrestrial beings. They're not earthly beings.
They're not earth. Can we look that up? What a terrestrial being is? Look that up. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 15 and 40. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 40.
Yeah. Click on it, actually. Click on it. And yeah, get the whole. Yeah. Start at right here.
Yeah.
Um,
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 38. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him.
right.
And
So the Lord fashions and gives us a body according to His liking, right? We don't choose what body we get, right? We know that this body is what? Corruptible, right? And we know that the bodies of angels is incorruptible, right? This body is going to be what? Sewn to the ground, right? It's right here and comes from dust. And it's going to go back into the dust, and the worms are going to have a field day on this body when it's gone.
Come.
Keep reading.
And to every seed its own body.
And to what?
Every seed its own body.
Keep reading.
Verse 39. All flesh is not the same flesh.
Listen, come on, man. All flesh is not the same flesh. Right? Read that one more time.
All flesh is not the same flesh.
So when these Nephilims came down, when these Nephilims were made from angels, right? Did they have a different flesh? Did it describe a different flesh, or did it describe their stature?
The stature.
Falsely. It falsely described their stature, right? Meaning, you think it's talking about giants. And we're going to explain what that means as we go down Genesis 6. Keep reading.
Con out of one con. In verse 39. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men.
Say it one more time.
But there is one kind of flesh of men.
There's two kinds of flesh of men.
One kind of flesh.
There's only one kind of flesh of men. There is no semi-gods. You can't say that Christ was a semi-god. That's another thing that they try to say. That Christ was a semi-god. He said there's only one kind of flesh of men. The same flesh that I had, Jesus Christ had. The same flesh that I had in Genesis 6, the sons of God took daughters of men. Those were men. Those are men having sex with women and creating more men and women. That's all that was. We only have one flesh. And so our kind of flesh cannot intermingle with angels. It doesn't work that way. Right? Keep reading.
Another flesh of beasts.
And here's another one. If angels can have sex with mortal women, right? Let's say a man has sex with a horse. Can you get a child out of that?
No.
Why is that?
Two different flesh. Two different.
Read that one more time.
Count out of one kind. Another flesh of beasts.
And there's another flesh of beast. Animals can only have babies with animals. Men can only have babies with women. Right? There's no... You can't intermingle the flesh. Right? You can have a liger. You can have a lion and a tiger, right? Nowadays, right?
Both canines.
Right?
I mean, felines.
Yeah, you can have that. But you can't have a man lion. You can't have a man horse. That's all Greek mythology.
Minotaurs and stuff.
Yeah, that's Minotaur. That's Greek mythology, right? You can't do that. Keep reading.
And the glory of the terrestrial is a Salakio. Wrong verse. And another of fishes.
And another of fishes and beasts can't have kids. Ain't no Little Mermaids going on here. Right? Go ahead.
And another of birds.
And birds are different from fishes, which are different from the beasts of the earth. None of them can intermingle, right? Go ahead.
There are also celestial bodies.
And there's celestial bodies. Go ahead.
And bodies terrestrial.
And bodies terrestrial. Go ahead.
But the glory of the celestial is one.
Go ahead.
And the glory of the terrestrial is another.
It's making a difference between the terrestrial, which is the angels, and the celestial, which is man. It's a different kind of glory. Go ahead. They can't be intimate in any way. Go ahead.
There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differeth from another star in glory.
In glory, right? Keep reading.
Also, verse 42. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption.
We can go past that. But now let's get back to Genesis 6. Let's finish.
Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
Want me to drop down to 44?
What's 44 say?
It is sown a natural body.
Right?
It is raised a spiritual body.
Yep.
There's a natural body and there is a spiritual body.
There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. So are you saying that the angels that rebelled against the Lord, they in tune were spiritual bodies, and now in Genesis 6 they're natural bodies?
Huh.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what they say.
Or do they still have their spiritual body? I'm a little confused.
Okay.
See where the confusion comes in, right? This scripture right here is telling you there's a difference between angels and men and beasts and fishes. And you know what I mean? It's telling you all the different aspects of creation. That there's a difference. That means you can't put them together and create some sort of hybrid. Right? That's a hybrid you're talking. Nephilim's are hybrids, is what they're talking about. That's a goddamn lie, man. Get off that YouTube and start smoking weed. Weed will be the determining factor to your craziness and your insanity. All right, go ahead.
Salaki, sir, if I may.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with a nut. Surprisingly, this was not online, but he said, "Yo, when things are all said and done, we're gonna have the same powers as animals."
Why would you want the same power as animals?
He's like, "Yo, we're gonna be half human and half animal." He said, "I'll be able to run as fast as a jaguar soon." I'm like,
okay.
That's what you believe, bro.
Yeah. Lord be with you, brother. My bus is coming. But go ahead, Genesis 6.
God, I forgot what verse we was on, sir.
Start at
verse
verse
2.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that the son, Genesis 6, verse 2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair.
That they were fair. What does it mean to be fair?
Fair means to be pleasing to the eye.
Right? I thought it meant to be white.
No, it means pleasing.
Oh, okay. Someone was trying to tell me it meant to be white.
God, light skin.
Light skin. No,
straight
fair
in.
means to be pleasing, man. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
And they took them wives of all which they chose.
Of all, meaning when it says all, it's talking about all nations, right? They took wives of all nations which they chose, right? What does that sound like today? We're gonna figure out who the sons of God's talking about in this one. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not always strive with man."
With angels.
With man.
With angels.
With man.
With Nephilims.
With man.
It's talking about. He said, "My spirit should not always strive with men." So read that verse before that.
Khan out of one Khan. The sons of God saw the daughters of men.
So you're saying the angels, right? Here's the contradiction. So if we took the sons of God and we said angels, right? We replaced it with angels. Take out the sons of God and read it and say angels.
That the angels saw the daughters of men.
That the angels saw the daughters of men. Go ahead.
That they were fair.
That they were fair, right? These angels are like, oh, these some badass women out here. These women look good, right? Go ahead.
And they took them wives of all which they chose.
And so the angels came down and said, man, we about to clean up shop, right? Isn't that what y'all say? We about to clean up shop. Look at all these women out here. Ooh, wee. Right? Go ahead.
Khan out of one Khan. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man.
My spirit should not always strive with angels. That's what it says. I think your eyes is a little bit beady. You been smoking that weed?
La, sir.
I'm just saying. You keep saying man, I'm saying angels. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, you might be tripping.
But read it one more time.
Count out of one kind. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man.
He said man. So I thought the sons of God were angels. But he said man. My spirit shall not always strive with man. So what does it mean to strive?
Struggle.
Right?
Fight.
Yeah, right? Meaning he don't want to put up with what we're doing, what men are doing, not angels. This right here, just that one little line defeats the whole premise that he's talking about angels when he said, my spirit shall not always strive with men, right? Now let's find out who the sons of God that they're talking about. Let's go to Luke chapter 3, verse 38.
Luke chapter 3, verse 38.
Jump to, let me see. Jump to where it starts with the lineage. And go ahead. Start at verse 23.
Luke chapter 3, verse 23. And Yahushua himself began to be about 30 years of age.
So this is talking about this is talking about Jesus Christ, right? Yahushua in the Hebrew, right? He became to be what? About 30 years of age? Go ahead.
Salaki. About 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, son of Joseph.
Being as was supposed of who?
As was supposed.
Yeah.
The son of Joseph.
Listen, Christ was the son of Joseph. You know why? Because Mary did not have sex with God. Mary did not have sex with angels. Mary did not have sex with Zeus. Mary did not get intimate with the Holy Spirit. Right? Mary knocked on Joseph's door and said, it's time to get it on. Mary jumped on him. She jumped in.
Just like your mama and grandma.
Yeah, right? She jumped on him, right? Go ahead.
Salaki, sir, if I want to bring out a point a lot of Christians like to overlook. A lot of Christians would like to overlook this part. They'll read it exactly as it is written, but they'll overlook a specific part in English, which is those, what they call them, semicolons?
Yeah.
No, not semicolons, colons.
Yeah.
They will overlook the colons. And colons are meant to emphasize something. It's meant to point out its importance.
That's right.
It is separated because it is
right.
important.
You're absolutely right.
And it says, as it is supposed, that means as it is supposed to be.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. Meaning, you would be foolish to think anything otherwise, right? Meaning, as it's supposed to be. Meaning, a man is supposed to have sex with a woman and she has a child. And when she has that child, that's that man's son. As it's supposed to be, right? That's the order of life, right? That's not how it works, right? Man has sex with a woman. Now you got insemination and all that, but that seed still comes from a man. You tell me, what is it called? What do they call that? Insemination?
Artificial insemination.
Artificial insemination. Listen, that seed still comes from a man. Right? No matter how science tries to break it down, you can't take a seed of another kind of flesh, and put it in a woman. It's not going to work. Her reproductive system is not going to recognize it. Her system's going to fail. Her system's going to reject it. It's going to say, when you put the seed of a horse into a woman, it's going to say system error. Right? Virus. I'm trying to speak computer code, but go ahead.
How many, and it's been documented, we all seen videos, how many Edomite women, aka Caucasian women, has had sex with horses? And how many centaurs do you see walking around?
I haven't seen one. I'm still looking for them.
There's no centaurs walking around.
You got a better chance finding Bigfoot than centaurs, but go ahead.
Count out of one kind.
Next one.
Next verse and finish this verse.
Yeah, keep going. Finish it.
The son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli.
Which was the son of Heli. So Now they're going to, what are they doing right here?
Start a lineage.
They're going down from Christ all the way down to the beginning. Keep reading.
Which was the son of Matthias.
Which was the son of Matthias, right? Go ahead.
Which was the son of Levi.
Which is the son of Levi. Keep reading.
Which was the son of Melchi.
So they're giving you a chronological breakdown of the what is it? Ascendants?
Mm-hmm.
The ascendants of Christ, right? Go ahead.
So I almost got tricked on this when I first came into truth.
Yeah.
But the name Levi is not just a tribe, it's actually just a name.
That's it. No, keep reading.
Okay.
Jump down to, so let's go down there. Let's jump down to 38 for sake of time.
Verse 38.
So it's going all the way down the family tree of Christ, right? Because Christ was a man. He had the same flesh you have. He came from a man and a woman. The idea that the Holy Spirit had sex with Mary and God had sex with Mary, that comes from Zeus. That comes from Greek mythology. But go ahead.
Luke 3, verse 38.
Go ahead.
Which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam.
Read that one more time.
Which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth,
Which was the son of Seth,
which was the son of Adam.
which was the son of Adam. See, Christ, let me tell you something. It gave you a whole lineage from Joseph all the way down to Adam, all the way down to Noah. Noah's somewhere in between that, right?
Verse 36.
Yeah, right? And which was the son of Seth. Keep reading.
Which was the son of Adam,
Keep reading.
which was the son of God.
Wow. So now in Genesis 6, the sons of God that it's talking about, if you go to Luke chapter 3, it'll break down the lineage of Adam all the way down to Christ. It'll break it down. Even when Noah has his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, it goes from Shem in this list, right? All the way down to who?
Adam.
All the way it goes from Shem and it goes down to Abraham, it goes down to Isaac, Jacob, and it goes down to the 12 tribes of Israel, and it comes all the way to Christ. So the sons of God, it's naming all the sons of God in this list in Luke 3 and 38. Right? Did you see the Noah one? Get to the Noah one.
30. Luke chapter 3, verse 36.
Go ahead.
Which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Foxad,
Go ahead.
which was the son of Shem, which was the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech.
So now it's just going down. This is talking about Noah, right? His
Noah
descendants?
is Noah.
Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? So don't get it twisted, man. You just don't understand the context of the Bible. Genesis 6. Let's get off this in about a second. Let's finish this Genesis 6 real quick.
Genesis 6. I believe I was on 4 or 5.
Go ahead.
Genesis 6, chapter verse 5. No, verse 4.
Go ahead.
There were giants in the earth those days.
And there were what?
Giants in the earth those days.
And there were giants in the earth in those days. Now, do we have a dictionary?
Yeah, we got a Webster over there.
Yeah, use this one.
This one?
Yeah.
That one? All right.
Use this one, right? Let's look up the word giants, right? And let's look up the common definitions of giant. Go ahead. And there were giants on the earth in those days. The problem is that when you think of a giant, right? How do you classify a giant? I'll give you an example, right? My child is 9 years old, right? I got about 3 feet on my child, right? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, right? Whatever. If you have a child and you're standing, I'm going to stand up. And you're standing, right? And your child is right here, right? And you're standing in front of your child. How's your child going to look at you?
You're going to look up.
You're going to say, Daddy, you're a giant. You're so tall. How do you classify who's tall and who's short? How do you classify giants, right? Is someone that's 7 feet a giant? is someone that's 6 feet. Listen, if I go to China right now, they're gonna say he is a giant because most people in China are short.
Let me see the original name. There's a Theosaurus.
Yes, a lot. There you go. How do you define a giant, right? How do you classify a giant? It depends on the perspective. It depends on who's looking at it, right? I could say if someone is only 5 inches from me, and he's what? If I'm 6'2" and he's 6'7", I'm not gonna say he's a giant. I'm gonna be he's taller than me. He's tall, right? Because I'm only saying he's tall because he's taller than me. But if someone who's a midget looks at someone that's 6'7", they're gonna say he's a giant, right? That's not what it's talking about. That's not the context. The Lord did not destroy the earth because there were giants on the earth, right? Yao Ming's and your Shaquille O'Neal's, right? Is the Lord going to destroy the earth because Shaquille O'Neal's 7'2"? You lost your mind. That's what you did, right? Go ahead.
Khan out of one Khan. Giant, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Let's get the definitions of
Definition 1. A legendary human-like being of giant stature and strength.
So the first definition is talking about stature and strength, right? Go ahead. What's the next definition?
1A, a living being of great size.
Go ahead.
B, a person of extraordinary powers.
So now another example of a giant is someone that has extraordinary powers, right? Go ahead.
3, something unusually large or powerful, having extremely large size, proportion, or power.
Go ahead.
That's it on this one.
Okay, so now you look at, so here's what you're doing. You're looking at the definition of a giant this is the reason why I'm telling you to bring this up, right? You're looking at the definition of a giant in the dictionary, or how you understand a giant. You're saying, well, it's talking about that, right? But what you got to put in mind is that this book was written by black men, right? This book was written by Hispanic men and Native Indian men. Meaning, when I say this book, I'm talking about the Bible. I know this might sound shocking. The way we speak is very slangish. You know, we might use the word giant and we could put it in so many different contexts of how we're saying it, and it depends on how we're saying it, right? I'll give you an example, right? Here's an example. Jay-Z is a giant in the industry, right? Who else? Give me another someone big.
DJ Premier.
DJ Premier is a giant in the industry. Oprah Winfrey is a giant in the industry, right? What am I saying? Is Oprah Winfrey 7 feet tall? Is she 8 feet tall? Is Jay-Z 10 feet tall? Go ahead.
Salaki. In all those definitions that I just read out of the Webster, there was 2 words that was common. Stature and power.
And what?
Stature and power.
And power. See, these were, what it's talking about in Genesis 6, it's talking about powerful men. That's what it's talking about. Meaning, the women, listen, the children of the sons of God, right? They came from Adam, all the way down from Seth, all the way down from Noah, Shem, all the way down that tree, right? They came down from Noah and his family. His family, Noah's family, was having sex with heathens, right? And the earth, what was going on is those people started to become, the offspring started to become very powerful men, men of renown, famous men, right? If my man Rock was to spit a verse, and I'm like, yo, Rock, you a beast.
Which I am.
Am I saying that Rock is an animal? No. We have slang that we've always been using since thousands of years ago, right? because of Hollywood movies and because of the Catholic dogma, you can't comprehend this being a black book. You look at it and you look at it through a white lens. You got to understand it in the context of how black men speak, right? If I'm like, yo, he's a beast when it comes to rapping, I'm not literally saying he's a beast. If I'm like, yo, Rock, I'm about to go to the whip, I'm not talking about a literal whip, right? I'm talking about a car, right? This is the context you got to look at it in. Keep reading.
Khan out of one Khan. Salaka. Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men.
Go ahead. So we proved in Luke 3:38 that Adam was the son of God, all the way down to Jesus Christ, right? Isn't that, don't they call him the son of God? Right? Like we're all the son of God. Here's the difference between us and Christ, is that Christ was his special son. Meaning this, Christ was the only one that actually followed everything that his father told him to do. He's the only begotten son, meaning he was his special son. Right? Go ahead.
And you also proved there's a difference between celestial beings and terrestrial beings.
That's right.
They're not the same. They can't intermingle.
That's right. Go ahead.
But Khan out of one Khan.
And I also proved how angels look like. Right? Did they lose? You know what I'm saying? Like, I proved how they look like, right? In Ezekiel chapter 1. Go ahead.
God. And they bear children to them.
And they bear children to them. Come on, man. We got to get out of this. You know, we listen. We got to stop. We're losing our mind in this place, man. You know what I'm saying? These, you know, see, our oppressor knows that images play a big role in captivating the minds of the simple. He knows that. That's why he puts all these Greek mythology movies out, right? He puts all of them out in front of your face, right? So you can incorporate that into your mind. So now when you read the Bible, you say, well, Genesis 6 is talking about angels having sex with women, right? It's all a brainwashing tool, what he's putting in your mind, because he knows you're simple. He knows you don't know anything. He knows the truth, though. Listen, your oppressor, and I'm not talking about the commoner, but your oppressor, those that are in rulership in high places, they know what it is, right? They know that the angel that it's talking about is talking. Go ahead.
Salaki, so you brought up a heavy point. How our oppressor knows how important images are to the simple.
That's right.
Now, not to glorify how simple our people are, because we are, but at the same time, his rulership and his dominance started before the era of photographs, before the era of camera phones. Before we can actually see his evil, he will perpetrate his evil as beauty.
That's right. And
he will perpetrate his evil as righteousness. That's
right. And you know where when he starts? He starts in kindergarten. With the books, right?
With drawings.
With the drawings. That's how it starts. Yeah. Right? He has to put the drawings there to the brainwashing is real. It's real subtle. How a snake moves, he moves real low down and dirty. Right? It's always subtle. It's never just right in your face. It always starts off, your child goes to school, sees all these photos, right? And he's just like, he looks at it like, now if it was just words, right? If it was just words, he'd just be like, I'm not interested. Children ain't interested in that. Children, you gotta put colors, and you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta put the suspense, and it gotta be vibrant. And we're acting like children in this place because we're getting raised by children. But go ahead.
Khan out of one Khan came into unto the daughters and bare children unto them.
Mm-hmm.
The same became mighty men.
The same became mighty men. Jay-Z is a mighty man right now, right? all your Hollywood actors, your sports, your athletes, they're mighty men, right? But go ahead.
So like I said, why would the children of the sons of men and the sons of God and the daughters of men become mighty men? Why would that happen? Because those sons of men had a certain stature to live by, had a certain code of ethics to live by that made them mighty men.
It's interesting you say that, right? The so-called Jewish man, right? He is mighty on the earth right now.
Huh.
The reason why he's mighty is because he took our book and he made it so it was him that's in the book,
Okay.
right? Now, understand this, right? The reason why the Lord does not want you to have an interracial relationship or marriage is because what's going to happen is you're going to start to serve their God, right? You're going to start to serve their God. You're going to start to follow their customs, and you're going to start to put on their culture. Keep reading on this one.
Khan out of one Khan. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
And these were men of renown, meaning these were famous men. What renown means famous. They had a reputation, right? When they would speak, the crowd would be quiet, right? They had a reputation. Everything that came out their mouth was gold to the simple. But go ahead.
So, just to bring up a point, renown is not the same as infamy. There's a whole bunch of people that are very well known, and they're not renowned.
That's right.
I just wanted to bring that out.
That's right. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
The wickedness of who?
Man.
It's saying the wickedness of man. There's no reference of angel. God is always saying, I'm tired of striving with man. The wickedness of man. He's only talking about man. He ain't talking about angels. Why? Listen. Why ain't he saying that the angels are getting punished? Where's the transformation? Right? Like where in here there's number one. How can angels? Listen, here's how dumb this sounds. How can angels drown when they got wings?
It's a lot, good sir.
I'm sorry. How can they drown when they got wings?
They can't.
Oh, here's another one. Tell me one angel that died in the Bible. Tell me one angel that died.
I mean,
Can angels die?
to my knowledge.
Right? The wages of sin is death. So now you have to say, well, do angels sin?
If they having sex with random.
Wait. Were angels given the law?
No.
Why would they need the law?
Yeah,
Were angels ever in captivity?
no.
Think about that. Right? See, like, if you really want to if you want to be one of those naysayers that always want to pick apart those little things, well, I can go that direction too. So I guess angels were in the wilderness, right? They received the law, right? They were in Egypt for 400 years, right? Go ahead.
Lock, yes, sir. So, if me as a mortal man just having sex with any and every woman I can, married or unmarried women, because that's what they claim. They claim they have sex with any woman that they wanted, and reproduce with those women. That would be a sin in my world because I'm having sex with married women. That's what they say. They say that these men were having sex with any and every woman they wanted. Well, these angels. But if I do it, it's death. But if they do it, it's not. So now you got to ask yourself, is there favoritism towards angels, or is this just all BS?
This is all BS. It sounds like BS to me.
It does. You
It's
can't even
just,
rationalize it.
yeah, it sounds just so dumb now. Now the more you read Genesis 6, keep reading. Let me get a little bit more.
Verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
There's another reference. He said the wickedness of man. He didn't say the wickedness of angels, because angels cannot be wicked. They weren't created to be wicked. Go ahead.
This is the verse that cancel out angel, period.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that this was about angels, that angels were doing this, then what would the wickedness of men have to do with this, period?
And when the angels were the ones that were doing it. But go ahead.
Kind on one kind. And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And verse 6, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth.
Why don't you understand that Nephilims is a lie? The angels having sex with a man. Why did he say he repented that he made angels? Right? All right, let's get some scriptures. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7. Next 20 minutes, we're just gonna bang them out. We're gonna bang them out right now.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7. And the angels, and of the angels he saith, he maketh his angels.
Read it one more time.
And of the angels he saith, he maketh his angels spirits.
He making his angels what?
Spirits.
Flesh.
Spirits.
No. He made his angels spirits. He didn't make his angels flesh. You know what I mean? He didn't make his angels. He made his angels spirits, right? And what are their purpose? Keep reading.
And his ministers a flame of fire.
And his ministers a flame of fire. To minister is, what is it? It ministers to help. You know what I'm saying? That's what a minister is. It's someone that helps, right? Angels help us, right? Good.
So let's creep into a Christian mind real quick, sir. So in a Christian mind, an angel could have sex with a woman. Can a demon? They are spirits. Demons are spirits too.
Yeah.
This just said angels are spirits.
Yeah, right?
Can a demon have sex with a woman too?
They're spirits. I guess they can, right? I guess demons can have sex with women now, right?
Can't. The confusion. The confusion.
All right, let's go to Matthew 1 and 24.
Matthew, chapter 1, verse 24.
So we spent about an hour and some change just breaking down Genesis 6, right? We know that the Lord flooded the earth because of the wickedness of man, not angels, right? He said, my spirit should not always strive with man, so he flooded the earth. And it takes about 40 days to flood the earth, to kill all flesh, except for those that are living in the sea. It takes about 40 days. Listen, you ever seen like 4 days of rain? That joint pile up to your door.
Shilagi, sir.
Yeah.
It has been raining here for about 2 days and I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
40 days? Woo. Come on, man. Angels can fly though.
God, they
would, if that was the case, the angels would be like, oh, that was stupid. What's going on here? They would have went to the tallest mountain. So the only way you could be able to justify that is to say that those angels became men one day.
God.
You know what I'm saying? The only way you can justify Nephilim is by saying that angels became men. Because if they're still angels, they have powers. You think?
They have 4 wings.
Hold on. Can angels drown?
Nah.
So if angels can't drown, how the hell did he kill the whole planet? Right? But go ahead.
Not on one kind.
Matthew 1 and 24.
Matthew chapter 1 verse 24. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him,
Hold on. Give me Matthew 24.
Oh, Matthew 24.
Yeah, so like yeah.
Matthew chapter 24, verse what?
We're talking about the days of Noah.
Oh,
Okay, so basically, let's get right down to the meat of it. The reason why the Lord destroyed the earth is because the sons of God, the children that came from Adam, Seth, all the way down to Noah and his family, were having sex with heathen women, with women that were outside of their family, right? And because of that, because of interracial marriage, the Lord destroyed the earth. That's what Genesis 6 is about. That's why in Genesis 10, what did he do? He saw that the whole world came together, right? And they spoke one language. And in Genesis 10, what did he do? He divided them and created what? At this point in Genesis 10, he created nations. Because he always wanted nations to be set apart, right? So that, so that we wouldn't mingle with strangers in our land, right? Well, go ahead.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 37.
So now we have the COVID-19 in 2020, right? Should have came out 2019. It would have made sense, right? But we should call it COVID-20, right? COVID-19 is here, right? Now, the Lord is just, sparking up something, right? He's sparking up a flame right now, right? Right now he's still doing this with the lighter, trying to get the flame going. But what we got to understand is that the Lord is angry with us every day as we take on the wives of these other nations, as we take on women of these other nations, right? You got your Kanye West and your Kim Kardashians, right? And he's gone crazy. He's losing his mind.
He done.
Right? Your Lamar Odoms, even down to your Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson had 3 wives. He won one of the biggest fights of the century, right? And it was a race. It was a race thing where, this white man was the biggest competitor at that time, and he defeated him. Jack Johnson was a boxer back in the early 1900s, right?
1911 to
Yeah.
1928.
Yeah. So he had quite a career, but he loved white women. And the thing about Jack Johnson, he was very cocky with it. He paraded with white women. And when he got jammed up is when he left state lines with that white woman. And he got jammed up, right? So America just always has despised the American apartheid system, has always despised the idea of interracial marriage, right? If you look at it, right, we're going to read this quick story right after this, but Matthew 1 and 24, and read that real quick.
You said Matthew 1 and 24 or Matthew 24?
Matthew 24.
Matthew 24 and 37.
Go ahead.
But as the days of Noah.
So now it's talking about the days of Noah, when we just read in Genesis 6, where the Lord flooded the earth and killed everybody except for 8 people. Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives. But he killed everybody after that, right? But he said, but as in the days of Noah. Now you have to understand the mind of the Lord. The Lord knows that when you go and marry a white woman, when you go and marry an Asian woman, when you go and marry an East Indian woman, you're going to start to worship their God, and you're going to start to take on their culture. Keep reading.
Khan Adawan Khan. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood.
Go ahead. So the days before the flood, right? Noah's is in the desert somewhere, hammering away. Clink, clink. He's building that ark, right? Got a little drink on the side. You might listen. As a foreman or as a contractor or as anyone that works with tools, a little drink is necessary after work. Trust me, trust and believe. After sweating all day, right? But he's banging away. He said, you read it?
Khan Adawan Khan. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So also shall the Son of Man be. So during that time, during the days of Noah, during Genesis 6, They were what? Eating.
Oh, count out on count, verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying.
And they were eating, they were drinking, they were living life, is what it's saying. To break this all down, they were just living life. No regards for the Most High, eating shrimp, crab, lobster, selling drugs, being drug addicts, just living life YOLO, right? You only got one life to live, right? YOLO, YOLO, YOLO. You hear that all the time, right? They were just living life. It was just it was like no regards, there's nothing that can tell me what to do. I just want to live my life. I want to worship Allah. They were doing all kinds of things that were against the Lord. They didn't know who the Lord was, right? And they also didn't know his wrath. When we on them corners every weekend, we're telling you we're explaining two sides of the coin. See, the Christians, they only explain one side of the coin. They say he's an all-loving God. The UPK, we say, yeah, he's a loving God. Right? It's not all love at the time. There's another side to the coin. That's wrath. And that's terror. And that's destruction. And that's something that's coming, that's going to come on this earth. COVID-19 is the other side of the coin of the Lord. That's the other side that you don't want to talk about in the Christian church, which is why the Lord has poured this plague out for many reasons. Let's give the Lord a hand for shutting down the Christian church. Number one, right? That right there might have saved millions of lives for the moment, until they go back into that church, right? But what we got to understand is that as it was when it was during the time of Noah, now it's the same thing now. That's why we're on those corners. What do they say? Don't you guys have a job? Like you guys are preaching hate. When Noah was trying to talk to him, they're like, "Yo, Noah, be quiet. What are you talking about, Noah? You over here, you look like the nut building a boat in the middle of the desert. Who are you to tell us?" You know what I mean? And it's a direct correlation to what's going to happen. But let's get a couple more scriptures real quick, all right? Because I just wanted to bring that up real quick. So during the time in America, there was miscegenation laws, right? Where America was so against the blending of races, and their biggest problems were with slave masters having sex with their slaves. The other big problem was what they would call indentured servants having sex with slaves, right? Also, I'm doing a class right now.
I've been trying to knock on the door for hours.
Can you shut my door, please?
Can you lend me some money so we can get something to eat before they close Popeyes?
Anyways, shut the door. Anyways, so anti-miscegenation laws, right? The blending of races. What we got to understand is this, right? There was a time in America where they had this thing where they had this where there's one drop rule called blood quantum, right? And if a slave master had sex with a slave woman, the child that was born was considered part of the mother and not the father, so that the slave master can keep his inheritance, right? And during the Jim Crow laws, right, there was always this white fear about racial purity, right? And the thing about our oppressor is that our oppressor grew increasingly paranoid, right, about marrying someone that had invisible blackness, meaning slave master had sex with a slave woman, and what they would call mulatto today, there was an increased paranoia of that, right? And guess what? Our oppressor had every right to think like that. You know why? Because the Lord separated the nations, right? The Lord, what he did was he did not want our people to commingle and to have interracial sex with other nations. Let me get Judges 14:3. Let's spend the next 5 minutes.
Chapter 14, verse 3.
Go ahead.
And it reads.
This is talking about Samson, right? Samson wanted to have sex with heathen women. Now, keep in mind, Samson was a judge in Israel for 20 years at least, until his fall with Delilah, a heathen woman who was all about her people. Anytime you go and marry heathen women, she does not understand your pain and your plight in America. She don't understand it, right? You become a puppy to her, right? She don't understand what you go through. Go ahead.
Salaki, for you Christians out there, let me tell you what a heathen is. A heathen is not a bad person. It's somebody that is not an Israelite.
Or someone that is an Israelite that's acting like he's not an Israelite.
Khan.
But go ahead.
Khan out on Khan. Judges chapter 14, verse 3.
Go ahead.
Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren?
He said, is there never a woman? See, Samson wanted to marry heathen women. And his parents are like, is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren? Go ahead.
Khan out on Khan. Or among all my people?
Among who?
All my people?
Go ahead.
That thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines?
Let me tell you something, right? Samson's parents did not want him to go and have sex with some stinking Africans, basically Samson's parents were saying, yo, out of all these bad looking sisters out here in our people, why don't you take one of them? Why you gotta go take a heathen woman? Go ahead.
So like Philistines, aka a certain nation in Africa, were very tall people too. So does that mean his parents were saying he don't want him to have sex with Nephilims?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
let me get 1 Kings 11, 1 through 10. Last one. Read all the way through that.
1 Kings 11, 1 through 10.
Go ahead.
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
King Solomon was King David's son. King Solomon was one of the wisest men on. He was the wisest man on the planet, and he was the richest man on the planet, right? And he was filled with so much wisdom. But here was the fall of King Solomon. Keep reading.
Together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of Moabites, Ammonites.
So Solomon had all kinds of women. He had women from every nation under the sun. He had all kinds of women. Go ahead. And they were considered strangers to the Most High. Go ahead.
Zidonians and Hittites.
Go ahead.
And the nations concerning which the Lord saith unto the children, Ye shall not go into them.
You shall not what?
Go into them.
You shall not go into them. Go ahead.
Neither shall they come in unto you.
Go ahead.
For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods.
Read that one more time.
Surely they...
No, go up a little more.
Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord saith unto the children of Israel, Ye shall not go in to them.
He said unto who? The children of Israel, that you should not go into them, right? He named a few of them. Go ahead.
Neither shall they come in unto you.
Go ahead.
For surely they will turn away your heart after their God.
And that's what happened to Solomon. Solomon started sleeping with women that were outside of his nation. He started sleeping with heathen women. And because of that, they turned his heart away from the Most High. Which is why when you come in the UPK, we have to emphasize this matter that you should not sleep with a heathen woman. You should not sleep with someone that's not so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Indian. That is not a so-called Negro, is what I like to say. Because what's going to happen is that Chinese woman is going to have you eating bats. She's going to have you worshiping Buddha. You know, that East Indian woman, she's going to have you worshiping Shiva and all their gods and cows and all kinds of nonsense. Go ahead.
Slakia, for surely they would turn away your heart after their gods.
Go ahead.
Solomon clave unto these in love.
Because Solomon was a sucker for love. And here's the thing, right? Solomon was a sucker for love, meaning Solomon, he allowed his women to seduce him, right? Because of his lust. He allowed his women to seduce him which clouded his wisdom, right? Which turned him away from serving the Lord. Go ahead.
And he had 700 wives.
And he had how many wives?
700 wives.
That's a lot of wives right there. He had 700 wives. Go ahead.
Princesses.
And princesses.
And 300 concubines.
And 300 concubines. That's a lot of women right there. Go ahead.
And his wives turned away his heart.
And his wives, meaning they turned away his mind. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 4, for it came to pass.
Which is why you should never fall. You should never follow a woman or fall under the subjection of her witchcraft. Because she is going to try, especially a heathen woman, she is going to try to turn your heart away from your God, and so you can start worshiping her God. But go ahead.
Verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after their gods.
Go ahead.
And his heart was not perfect.
And his heart was not perfect at that point, meaning his mind was not perfect. His mind was not focused on the Most High. He broke the first commandment, right? Love the Lord with all your mind, your might, your heart, right? Go ahead.
With the Lord, Salakia, okay, I gotta read that from the beginning. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God. It was the heart of David his father. Salakia, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went
where it says David was after the Lord's heart, right? David focused on the Lord, right? He meditated on his laws daily, right? He didn't let a woman deter him from serving the Lord and worshiping the Lord and keeping his mind on the Lord. Go ahead.
For Solomon went after Ashtoreth,
Go ahead.
the goddess of the Zidonians.
Go ahead.
And after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites.
Go ahead.
Ammonites.
Go ahead.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord.
Yep.
And as did David his father.
Notice how he said, and went not fully after the Lord. Listen, if you're in the UPK, you have to go fully after the Lord. There's no partiality, right? There's no part-time priesthood here. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a full-time priest. You have to fully go after the Lord, right? Go ahead.
Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab.
So basically, here's the gist of it all. Solomon was the wisest man in the world, and even the wisest man fell under the witchcraft of heathen women that took away his mind from the Lord, right? 1,000 women can do that. It took 1,000 women to take the mind away. Sometimes for a regular brother, it might just take one woman. It might take 5 women to take your mind. But what it's explaining here is that all throughout the Bible, it talks about the idea of being with a heathen woman can deflect your path with the Most High, and in serving the Most High. And that's what we got to understand. So the flood was specifically because of interracial marriage, and guess what? The second time around, it's going to be because of interracial marriage. It's going to be because of the wickedness of man, of the sons of God, and what we're doing right now in this kingdom. But go ahead. Give me the announcements. 2 minutes.
Oh, Salaki, announcements. Oh, you want to close up or finish the scripture?
Close it.
We count out of one count. Just remember, you know what I'm saying? There's a rule for new brothers and sisters in the school. You know what I'm saying? They are off limits for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? They got to use that 6 months to get themselves correct. You know what I'm saying? If you have an interest in a new brother or sister, you know what I'm saying, after that 6 months is up, you can request them through their head. Talk to their head about them. You know what I'm saying? And then after that 6 months, and if that permission is granted, you court for 6 months. And after that 6 months, you may add permission and get married. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to be a brother or sister in the school, you know what I'm saying, get in touch with the head of the school. If you want to be a trooper, you know what I'm saying, get in all black shirt, black pants, black headpiece. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget, This is the most important. Pay your tithe. You can't build a nation without it. That's 10% of your earnings. Ma'ashara in the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? You can read that in Hebrews and what other book? I forgot. You can read that in Hebrews and when you know what I'm saying, when you pay your tithes, you know what I'm saying, just understand the nation's gonna get built. We're not like the Christian church asking you to put in your whole check. No, just 10%. You know what I'm saying? Which has been a law from the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? One of the oldest laws in Scripture. Pay your tithes. And with that, shalom.
Shalom.